another installment of the Mt.Lebanon Fire Department's video training series. In this video, we will discuss the proper operation, deployment, and repacking of the 1 3/4 crosslays on the engines. In another video, we will discuss the ladder truck crosslays.
The 1 3/4 attack line is our most commonly pulled pre-connected vehicle fires, and its structure fires are relatively small in nature. We use break-apart nozzles with a combination fog nozzle attached to a smooth bore to give us more options during fire attacks. You can change to a smooth bore by simply unscrewing the combination tip from the nozzle. Remember, the officer will normally designate which hose line to deploy when you arrive at an emergency scene. On the engines, we have 3 1 3/4 pre-connected hose lines. The red hose line is 150 feet, the yellow hose line is 150 feet, and the blue hose line is 200 feet. This allows us to have more options when dealing with fires that are in close proximity to the engine. Our hose lines are packed in a modified Minuteman hose load, which is intended to be deployed by a single firefighter from either side of the engine. It deploys by unfolding from the top of the stack, carried on the shoulder of the firefighter walking towards the fire. This procedure should result in fewer kinks and bends in the hose. To deploy our Minuteman hose load, you simply untuck the 2 loops from the hose load. Face the hose load and grab both loops and pull out approximately 2 to 3 feet out of the hose tray. As you continue to pull the load, you will turn your shoulder so that the hose load is centered on your shoulder. The hose load should rest with the end somewhere between your waist and knee, depending on your height. Over time and with practice, you will develop a feel for the right positioning for you. Once the hose load is on your shoulder, you simply walk away from the apparatus and the hose load pays off your shoulder. The one downfall to this load is that once you reach your target, you may have extra hose to essentially dump off in the front yard. If you arrive at this situation, simply place the hose load on the ground and grab a fold that appears to be close to the middle of the remaining hose and walk backwards away from the hose load, and it should pay out, allowing the line to be charged with few kinks. Prior to charging the hose load, any obvious kinks should be removed to aid in advancing the line into the building or the fire area. Once you're ready to charge the hose line, contact the operator either by hand signal or radio and ask that the specific line be charged. Open the nozzle to drain out any air and check the pattern prior to entering the fire area or engaging in firefighting. When we repack the Minuteman hose load, we will normally use clean and dry hose from the hose room. This hose load is packed into a removable tray so that it can be packed on the ground and slid into the appropriate slot on the engine. As a note, when repacking engine 1, we will try to use the newer hose that takes up less space when folded. Using the newer hose allows the load to be deployed with less issues, as the stiffer hose tends to bind against the trays on engine 1. Also, due to space constraints, pigtails are not used on engine 1. The hose is fed from the top of the tray and has a 5 to 10 foot pigtail on it to ease in repacking. Notice that it has a male coupling attached to the end, which means that we need to have a female on the top of the hose load to attach that pigtail to. For the purposes of this demonstration, we used a cutaway from the hose tray. Start by folding the hose under the nozzle so that the hose line is on the bottom of the tray. It doesn't matter which side you start on, but we want the nozzle approximately 6 inches back from the edge of the tray. Hold the nozzle in place and pull from the bottom until you create a loop approximately 1 to 1.5 foot long on the side opposite the nozzle. Then create another loop over the nozzle. This loop should continue back towards the opposite side and cross over to end up adjacent to the first fold. Create a loop the same length as the first one and continue back to the other side of the tray and create the final pull loop. Continue to make folds, crossing over each time. The folds need to be short, then long, to minimize the height of the finished hose load. The red and yellow hose lines use 3 lengths of hose, and the blue hose line uses 4 lengths of hose. When you come to a coupling, ensure that there is a rubber gasket in the female end, and try to keep the line flat. Continue to attach the lengths of hose and pack back and forth until you have the appropriate length. Occasionally you will find a coupling within the last foot of the hose tray. This will cause the height to increase because of the size of the coupling. We attempt to keep the couplings out of the middle of the tray where your shoulder would be and away from both ends. In order to accomplish this, you may have to make a Dutchman or cheat the hose. You simply fold the hose or the coupling back over itself to shorten the length and move the coupling. Once all the hose is packed, tuck the loops into the center of the stack, and a crew of 2 to 4 people will move the tray to the engine. Position the side of the tray with the nozzle in it so that the nozzle will be on the driver's side of the apparatus. Attach the pigtail to the female coupling on top of the hose load. Lift and push the tray into the slot. As you push the tray in, pay attention to the swivel at the top and ensure that it's pointed towards the driver's side of the apparatus. Pulling and packing the 1 3/4 pre-connects are our bread and butter operation. We practice this often to ensure smooth and efficient initial operations at fires. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't train until you get it right, train until you can't get it wrong.